Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel Custom Carving and Epoxy UK. I hope you're all doing well. And in this video, we didn't want to do one first, we wanted to do three first. I haven't done a frog yet, so wanted to do a frog. I haven't worked with UV epoxy yet, so got myself some UV epoxy, and I haven't done a dandelion yet. So I thought, why not combine the three and see what happens? So this is what the finished product looks like. I'm pretty happy with the result. A couple of mistakes I did make, which I'm going to go through in the video so that hopefully you don't make the same mistakes. But for a first little froggy, I think we did quite well to get him with his little dandelion heart. And I hope you enjoy the project. So let's go straight to the workshop. So here we are, guys, in the workshop. This is the little frog mold that I managed to get from, I think it was Temu in the end. So I'm going to be using that, some UV resin, some black mica powder, and I've also got this white resin paste as well. All of these we got from Temu. But before you start, always remember when you work with epoxy, get those respirators on and get those gloves on. So here we go. Let's create this little froggy with a dandelion heart. So the first thing I thought I'd do with the UV resin is just put a little bit of UV resin in the eyes, so in the eye sockets, to actually create those eyes. I thought I would use a little spot of the black and then fill it in with white. So I'm just going to mix up some of this UV resin. So there we go, UV resin mixed. I've mixed the white and the black. And now I'm just going to use the toothpick to put a little dot of black in for the pupils. Again, sorry about the camera angles, guys. I'm not the best filmographer, but I promise you I'm trying to improve it on every video. So I'm just going to put this at an angle under the UV lamp to try and cure that black pupil. And then do the same again for the other side. And that's one side done. You can just about see that little pupil in there. Now to do exactly the same on the next side, and I'm going to speed this up 20 times so you haven't got to watch it. Just giving it 30 seconds under the lamp each time. And that's both pupils in. Now to fill in the rest of the eye cavity with this pearlescent white. Again, exactly the same process, just trying to fill in that cavity, getting as close as I can with a toothpick, and then I'm going to angle it underneath the UV lamp and cure it. So I'm going to fast forward this and we'll come back after I've done both eyes. And now I'm just repeating the process for each one of the little round parts of the toe. I just think that looked really cool. The eyes seem to have worked and seem to have cured, if you can see those through the mould. So really happy with those. And now just to fill in the little circular parts on each toe, and I'm just going to use the white UV resin that I've mixed up. And hopefully you can just make out each one of those white little toes. So that is the white. Now for the next part, I'm going to move on to some Chameleon mica powders. Again, I got this set from Temu. I think there was a set of 8 different Chameleon powders for, I think it was around about £12 sterling, which is about 16 US dollars. And I decided in the end to try and do it with at least 2 different shades to give a bit of contrast. So I decided to go with more of an orangey, pinky, goldy colour for the legs, and then this sort of greeny blue colour for the rest of the body. So what I'm going to be doing is just brushing this onto the inside of the mould, but I want to keep the dandelion that I'm going to put in visible through the mould. So I'm going to have to try and keep a circle free of any of these Chameleon powders whilst getting in all of the nook and crannies. And I've not got any makeup brushes yet, but I've heard that they're a lot easier to use than standard small brushes, but that's all I've got, and you use what you've got. So I'm going to use these standard brushes and to try and brush the Chameleon powder everywhere, with the exception of that circle on his back where I want the dandelion to go and be visible. So just going to do all the legs with this goldy pink Chameleon powder, which actually in the end I think turned out really, really nice. And the 2 colours I picked actually seem to have mixed really well together in the overall colours of the frog. So I'm really happy with it. There you go. Hopefully you can see I've left that circle there. Looking back on reflection, this is mistake number 1. What I would do next time is do it in layers and do a small thin layer first before putting the Chameleon powder in, so that there would be a clear visible dome at the top to be able to see through to the dandelion heart, because in the end result I did have a couple of bits of the coloured epoxy drip through to the back whilst it was setting, and they are still visible. So next time, that's just a top tip. Try and do it in layers and do a clear dome of UV resin first. And now for the next step, putting the dandelion in. Now, what I'd already done is hairsprayed this dandelion probably 24 hours beforehand, just to make sure that the dandelion seeds don't just go all over and they hopefully stay in one place. So what I'm going to do to secure it is just put one dot of UV resin in that inner circle and quickly put that under the lamp so that hopefully it doesn't rise. One little dot, and I will get better with the camera work, guys, so apologies. This is the dandelion attached to a toothpick, and I'm just going to try and attach that where I want it in that center circle and put my UV lamp over it for 30 seconds. There we go, that looks cured and it is secure where I want it. And the reason I've left the toothpick in there is I think it will keep the stalk central as well, and it will stop any movement whatsoever. And then once the resin is cured, I'll be able to just hopefully snip it off with some pliers or some secateurs or something like that. And then I am planning, because I'm using Chameleon powders, on doing a thin black layer anyway on the underside, just to really make those colours pop. So just mixed up some resin. I'm using the Jan Chow brand, again from Temu. And what I've found so far is not very good, if I'm being honest, on canvases, because it leaves a lot of big fish eyes. But for moulds, it seems to be pretty good. And it's reasonably cheap. I think you can get 2 gallons for around about £110, which is about $130. But I am looking forward over the next few months to be trying different epoxies to find out which one is best. Here I'm just drizzling some of the epoxy onto the dandelion itself because I'm trying to prevent as many bubbles as possible. And I thought by soaking the seed head first, that's where most of the air is probably going to try and come out and create those annoying little bubbles. So I'm just trying to go on, completely saturate that seed head. And once again, guys, apologies for the video angles. They will get better as this channel continues, I promise. It's just trying to get the exact right angle with my overhead camera, so I will get it sorted, hopefully for the next video for you. And now it's saturated, just going to slowly fill up the rest of the mould. And if you've got one of these frog moulds, top tip number 2, this was mistake number 2, there's a little circular bit next to the back leg, which I actually thought was part of the leg. And you don't fill that part. That is just to help you get the frog out of the mould. But I actually filled that part and then had to snip it off later on. So again, another lesson learned. Mixed up about 180 ml of resin, which was a little bit too much. So I got this jewellery mould. Always keep some spare moulds next to you when you're doing these projects in case you've got any spare epoxy. And I decided to mix some of the Chameleon mica powders in with the resin just to see what it looked like. And me being me, wanting to be creative, this is another mistake what I did. So after I'd already filled the resin, I decided to drip some of this coloured resin throughout it to see what patterns it would make. And I think 3 or 4 of these dropped because of the weight of it with the mica powder, actually dropped through to the bottom, which essentially blocks part of the view of the dandelion heart. So again, looking back as a learning curve, make sure you do that clear dome first, and once you filled it with anything but the mica powders that you use, I wouldn't add anything. Now the part that everybody hates is waiting for this resin to cure over the next 24 hours. I did come back 2 or 3 times just to check the dandelion was still in place, and what I had to do after about 20 minutes was push the dandelion back down because it seemed to have risen a little bit. But here we are the next day, and you can see it looks pretty set, and the toothpick is still sticking out, so I just decided to get some nail clippers and clip it off. But this is the exciting part. I think I actually got these in Mallorca, these nail clippers, but there we go. They should do the trick. Just clipping off the toothpick because I am going to put a thin base coat of black UV resin over it. So you shouldn't be able to notice anyway once he's inside the frog. And now just going to mix up some black mica powder with a bit of UV resin and cure that over the top over the base, sorry, to A, cover up the toothpick, and B, hopefully really make these chameleon colours pop. Now, I have read somewhere and seen that with black UV as well, because of the colour, you're better off doing 2 small thin overcoats rather than 1 thick one. And here I am just spreading out a thin layer all over using the, this was actually an ice cream out of a Magnum Galaxy, I think it was, stirrer to actually get it around the sides. Use what you've got. And then just use a toothpick to go around all those nooks and crannies, make sure there's no little air bubbles or anything like that as well. And then I'm just going to cure it for a full 2 minutes under the lamp. And if you're still with us, guys, please do me a favour and like and subscribe to the channel. It does help the channel no end. And there's going to be lots more sort of wood projects and epoxy projects coming over the next few weeks. As you can see, that first layer is fully cured with a 2-minute blast. So just going to put a second layer on top now to make sure that I've got a good covering. here we go. Time for the big reveal. Make sure you've got your coffee in hand. And let's demold and see what we've actually got. I really hope this has worked out. So I'm just trying to figure out, here you can see where I filled in those two parts that you don't have to, which I'm going to have to snap off because they're just to help demolding. So I'm just going around each of the toes first of all. And then I think I'm going to try and demold this from back to front. I think it'll be the easiest way. And do you know what, guys? If there's anything in particular you want to see us do with wood or epoxy, put something in comments. Let us know what you want us to do, and we'll try our best to make it happen. We're nearly at 6,000 subscribers now as well, guys. So really, really appreciate each and every one of you being part of this journey. I'm hoping that we get to 10,000 soon and then can continue growing from there. And hopefully you're enjoying the videos and learning from my mistakes so that you don't have to make the same ones. And here we go, the moment of truth. Has it been worth it? Okay, well, you can just about see the dandelion under there. I think the eyes turned out okay, and I'm loving the chameleon powders as well. As you can see, there's a couple of spots on there on the top which are just slightly blocking the view of the dandelion heart. These are the bits what you didn't have to fill in, so I chose to snap them off. And then I'm going to re-cure it as well because that seems to have caused a little bit of a leak. But actually, I'm really happy with this. So it's the first time I've done a frog, first time I've worked with UV, and the first time I've done a dandelion. So I think it's been a success. So let me know what you think in comments. And if you look on the left, these are just some pendants that I managed to make out of the spare epoxy that I had left. Always use your spare epoxy because you never know what results you're going to get. And actually, I was really happy with a couple of these. So, as we come to an end, do me a favour, like and subscribe to the channel. I'm really happy with this frog with a dandelion heart. Let me know what you think to it for a first attempt. Do you think it's good or do you think it's bad? I'm just going to show you a quick video of him in the light. And if you've got time to watch another video, I'll link my top noodle epoxy pour on canvas, which was actually really cool. It was a grenade pour, which is the first time I tried it. So I think you'll like that. But yeah, this frog turned out great. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Custom Carving and Epoxy UK.